Is this working? Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the stream. We are going to continue on with some drawer reworks. I was working yesterday on moving around the alchemy drawer, and I also, after stream, spent most of the day doing that as well. So I took like 3 different approaches. I streamlined and simplified a bunch of code. I updated some shaders. I went on a whole rabbit hole. So anyway, but I think it's getting there. It's almost entirely functional. I do need to do a couple of things still, but that's what we're going to be doing on this stream. So anyway, if you want to support the game, head on over to the Steam page, Wishlist Alchemortis. I would appreciate that. Going to be a fun couple of months, the next couple of months, because we're just going to be focused on polish and bug fixing and content and all that stuff. So yeah, it's going to be great. So if you want to support the game, you can subscribe on Patreon. If you subscribe for at least 1 month at this sponsor tier, I will send you an Alchemortis Steam key when the game launches. So this is like a pre-order, and your name will be listed in the in-game Alchemortis credits. Again, you have to subscribe for at least 1 month for this. You do not have to stay subscribed if you want to get the Steam key, but of course I would appreciate that if you would. And also, I've got my Udemy courses. These will teach you how to build complete games in the Godot engine. Alrighty then. I will show you what's up with my drawer UI here in a second. But first, let's say hello to everybody. Hello, Clickertail. Welcome back. Good to see you. Malicious Rabbit. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for the IDR 10,000 Snup Bill. Very much appreciated with the message, Yummers. Welcome back. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hello, Emerson. Welcome. Look at those Yummers. All right, so the drawer is basically working now. I'll show you what it looks like after the game builds. So this is what it looks like. Basically functional. Now the thing that was tricky about this is that there's a bunch of other states as well. So if I go in here, this will force the inventory and the combat board open, but not the alchemy open. And if I open up the alchemy, it does that, right? So I've added a new fade effect in the background here. This is the same dimmer that existed before. I just made it a little bit nicer, I think. And actually, I'm not entirely sure that I like that. I may adjust that some more, but... So yeah, so we got a couple of states. We can be in this state where this inventory drawer is forced open, and then the combat board is over here, and then I can open the alchemy, and that will shift the combat board over. I want to make that animation a little bit smoother. I don't like that it's in like lockstep here, but that's going to be a little bit tricky because I need to... Yeah, I mean, I'll show you what it looks like in the scene tree. But yeah, it seems to be working. I also went through and I cleaned up that entire drawer UI script. So I rewrote that, like, I don't know, probably at least half of that script. So you can see, where's that big one? Yeah, so you can see all these changes that I made over here. I rewrote this whole script because this had... So previously this drawer UI script was handling all these different cases. And I just shoved everything. I just said, you know what, this is too complicated. There's too many edge cases. There's too many conditionals. There's too many things going on. So what I ended up doing with this one is I ended up basically... I've got 2 methods now. I've got 2 methods. I have the try open method and I have the try close method. So anytime that I want to try to open the inventory or try to close the inventory, I just call those things and that's it. It handles the rest of the state in here for me. So if I want to open the alchemy drawer, I just call try open. And it's beneficial because I know that the inventory always has to be open when the alchemy is open. So the only different case is that the alchemy could be closed while the inventory is still open, right? If you're at one of those events, for example. So that makes it a lot simpler, right? Because what I can do is I can just detect if I say close, obviously I'm trying to close it, right? If I send a try close, if I call try close, that means that there's something that I want to try to close. And all I need to determine in here is basically, is the alchemy open and can I close it? And also, if the inventory is not force expanded, then we can collapse the inventory as well. Otherwise, if the inventory is force expanded for like an event or something, we just don't animate that out, right? So I rewrote all this stuff and made it a lot simpler. And so now like all these things are just much easier. See, I've got like a try open, try close here, try open, try close there. On escape pressed, look at that. It's just a straight try close, try close. So yeah, it's a lot cleaner now. It's a lot easier to reason about. And in terms of the scene structure, I've got kind of like a little bit of an accordion thing going. So basically, I've set up a chain of nodes where I can chain their offset transforms to do the various collapsing. So the core problem was like, how do I get the player board to expand or shrink dynamically with whether the alchemy is open, but also whether the inventory is open, right? Because this is going to have to shrink with the inventory if you're on the map view. So what I essentially did is I just set up a series of what I just call these spacers. These are just plain control nodes that I can modify the position ratio of, and then I can just do that. I can just do that in sequence, essentially, right? So if I want to collapse the player board, for example, all I need to do is I just need to change this position ratio, right? And that position ratio will go all the way over to -1. But it's like right here, it's like right behind everything, right? Well, the thing is, because this is a descendant of the alchemy spacer here, when I modify this position ratio, like this, the board goes with it, right? So that goes with it like that. And then the same thing is true for the inventory spacer. I just take the offset ratio, position ratio, -1, and everything goes with that, right? So I get like a very nice like accordion effect where after everything gets animated to -1 in the X for the position ratio, the tab buttons remain sticking out, and yeah, that's basically it. So everything just kind of like accordions or telescopes into itself, however you want to think about it. But yeah, and then it's just a matter of like when I try to close the inventory, it's just a matter of setting up the tweens to do those ratio manipulations. Again, taking into account whatever state we're currently in, so only collapsing the things that ought to be collapsed, essentially. But since everything is fundamentally dependent upon each other thing, it's very easy for me, for example, to just change the alchemy position ratio, and that moves the board with it, right? So yeah, I think we're in good shape. I think, obviously, I still have to do something about these artifacts up here, but those probably will just become the same exact thing. Those will become ultimately children of one of those position containers, and then probably the inventory one. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's gonna work. Like I said, I want to do some nicer animations. It would be nice if there was a little bit of motion in here, like when I'm expanding the alchemy drawer, because it's just in lockstep, which makes sense, right? But I would have to do like another secondary tween, like a little, just kind of like animation flare tween that doesn't really do anything except kind of provide some motion to this. Anyway, that's enough talking we can start doing. Oh, the other thing is I drew a mushroom. Pot base. I drew a mushroom. So there's still a lot of artwork to do in the game, but I want to like spruce up this alchemy scene, because I think, you know, alchemy is the core. It's the core of the game basically. So I want to put a lot of effort into just like making the alchemy presentation really good. And so there's a lot of black space right now in the alchemy drawer. So I just want to fill it in. I want to make it look richer. I want to make it look like a little scene in here, you know what I mean? And fill out some of this black space. And the same is true for the other parts of the game too, by the way. Like, there's still a lot of visual polish that I can do on the game and that I'm intending to do. But yeah, that's the gist of it. Hello, Rookie Tookie, welcome. RIP pass-through control, yeah. That pass-through control served me honorably for many years. But it is time, like all good things, it must come to an end, and it has been superseded by superior technology. And so we say, thank you, pass-through control, but you are going into the dustbin of history now. Loving the idea that I won't have to drag across the whole screen to alchemy, remove all friction to fun. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. I like it too. I mean, I haven't done much testing with this, but I can already tell that this is just going to be much nicer. Like, it feels just so much better to do this. Or like drag your alchemy out. Like, even going from here to here is much easier, right? And then going here to here. Now, I do need to change. Yeah, I gotta change those. Okay, anyway. The main thing now to do is the artifacts. It's just like your Godot inspector layout, it is. The answer was staring at me the whole time. Oh, I need to reverse the... I need to reverse the pot animations as well. There's a lot of side effects that happen as a result of changing this, but that's okay. We'll figure that out. Okay, artifacts. Where are you? Artifact animation root, artifact container. So the easy thing to do here, I think, would be to just go to the alchemy spacer here, since this is the drawer that could be expanded the furthest. And yeah, I think we essentially just put another child in here. Honestly, we might be able to just... Do I even need this? Artifact animation root. We will put this here. Okay. Now the weird thing about this is I am using just like normal positioning instead of containers for a lot of this stuff. So it's kind of weird, but... Did I get it right the first time? Oh, wow. Okay. And then for this margin container, I just set this custom minimum size to 40. Why don't I just do that with this one then? Is this used anywhere else? I may just change this. No, it's not. So let's get rid of this, get rid of that. We're going to change this to custom minimum size 40. And then we are going to shrink. Shrink center, is that what I want? Yeah, why don't I just do that? Do I even need these margins? Margin left, margin right. I mean, I might as well do a margin bottom too. I don't really see, I guess I need the left and right margins, but I don't think I need the up and down margins. I think that's kind of, well, I suppose it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I don't need to change every little thing. Okay, instantiate, artifact, container. I'm gonna have to shift this over again. There we go. Oh, off by 1. So I believe that should just work. We're gonna get rid of artifact animation root. Finally, we can get rid of all this extra stuff. I've tried to delete this method like 3 or 4 times, and every time I forget that the old artifacts container was using that. So that's gone. I don't know why this is all the way up here. We're gonna put this closer to where it's relevant. Okay, let's take a gander. You like the mushroom? Something fun about drawing mushrooms. I could draw mushrooms all day. Well, probably not all day. I'm sure I would get bored of that, but... All right, the artifacts are now following the alchemy drawer. Honestly, I don't think it's worth it to give those a fancier animation. I think it's okay if it just kind of like follows with the tabs. I think that's fine. Actually, I may want to offset it a little bit more now that I'm thinking about it. We might want to do a little bit more of an offset on the left. Does that look weird? I did have a rather large offset. I can't remember. What did it look like before? Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Reload from disk. No, it's like right there. Okay. I guess I'll go with that then. We need HTML and CSS for UI. Hello, Crappy Crafter. Well, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Do I need to do anything else with that artifact container? I don't think so. I don't think so. Let's just try it out. Add artifact. Artifact hands. Yeah, it just works. What happens though if this grows? What happens if I get like a bunch of these? Does it expand? I guess it does. Okay. Oh yeah, that makes sense because it's a container. I wonder why is this so wide? Let's just shrink that down for now. With this being at least the second roguelike you'll make, do you think you'll go for another for the third? I don't know. I haven't really given much thought to my next game. the thing about roguelikes is like they're so I mean Alchemortis, I've been working on Alchemortis for like a year and 3 months now, right? And roguelikes are like some of the easiest games to make, I think. Like they don't require, you know, they don't really require a whole lot of narrative. They don't require very complex environments usually. So they're kind of easy to make. I think I guess what I'm trying to say is they're easy to make and it still takes this long, right? The other thing with roguelikes is I feel like a lot of the game design challenges you would have are kind of solved. Like you basically just follow what everyone else did, add your own little twist on it, and then if you do it well, it should be good enough. But, you know, like, I don't know, I guess I could make other types of games. I think puzzle games are relatively easy to make. Like, in terms of, like, the raw effort that's required, it may be hard to come up with, like, really good puzzles for people, but I think puzzle games are usually pretty easy to make. I've done several puzzle games for game jams and whatnot. So yeah, I don't know. I would love to try to like actually make a game in like 6 months and release it and just keep it dead simple and super focused. But I don't know. The other problem too is like I don't really want to work on games that I'm not interested in, right? Like I don't like puzzler games. There's an incremental game trend right now, which incremental games I think are another one of those games where like they're technically easy to build. The hard part is like figuring out how to hit all the right like dopamine receptors, right? But I'm not intrigued at all by incremental games, so I would never make one because it's just not something that I'm interested in. I want to check something here. It's as I suspected. This needs to be over a little bit. Does it also need to be wider? I hope I'm not breaking anything. That would be unfortunate. Over 1, shrink 1. Okay. This one is weird. This remaining width spacer, this has an HBox container in it where we've got, in order to get the player board generally centered in the remaining space on the screen when the inventory is open, I create this remaining width spacer, which is essentially just the width and height of the screen, but minus some of the width of the drawer here. Most of the width of the drawer, I should say. And then I have an HBox container in here. The left side is occupied by this margin container, which contains the player board. And then there's just this empty control to greedily like fill the remaining space. Or I don't know if that's the right word to use, but it's there to basically force this container to be half the size of this width. And so that's how I keep the player board like generally centered in the left half of this remaining space. So it's a little bit odd, but it's okay. All right, let's get all the ratios back. Okay, cool. So I have an issue with the combat widget as well. The combat widget needs to be moved over. that might be another case where it needs to be a descendant of something. In any case, let's see. Okay, all that is looking good. I think it's gonna look kind of weird for the combat widget to be over there, but the problem is that might be unavoidable. I feel like you should have the board pop from the middle and the health at the bottom come from bottom to top. No, I don't want to do a scaling animation on the board. I think that would look really bad when there's a lot of cards on the board. So I don't think I'm going to do that. And the board is supposed to be here. Like the board slides out when you open the alchemy drawer. It's just when you're on the map overview, both of these drawers come out, so the board is all the way over here. But when you just go into like a combat encounter, that's what it looks like. But no, I don't think a scaling animation would look good on the board at all. I generally don't use a whole lot of scaling in this game. There are a couple of exceptions, but why people play incremental games, number go up, yeah. Number go up. If you think about it, life is the ultimate incremental game. There you go. This animation is a little bit jittery too. I want to refine those animations. Don't use delay for tween animations. Instead, use incrementing, decrementing total duration of each animation. I think that will look nicer. Combat widget move. Okay, we need to reverse the pot animations though. So the problem is, if I go to my alchemy drawer, this is on the left side of this screen now. And so when this pot animation player, let's see, is this the right one? No. So it goes off to the right. And what ends up happening is it actually leaves the drawer space. So I can show you. So I do this, I do that. It's gonna actually leave the drawer space. Yeah, see, it kind of just went outside. And previously that's because it was on the right side of the screen, so it would just get clipped by the screen. So I think I need it to go the other way now, where it will get clipped behind the drawer instead. Yeah. So I think that should be fine. I essentially just need to reverse the direction. So let's do that. Let's give myself plenty of room here. I really wish I could like collapse some of these. Like, it would be nice if I could just, like, collapse this drawer fully and, like, reopen it. And this one, too. I guess... that works, I suppose. Distraction-free mode. Okay. So this position, oh, I can't actually edit the keyframes in distraction-free mode. What is the point of that? Okay, never mind. So this just needs to be negative 64. And then this is 0. The floor position, also negative 64. The floor shadow, negative 64. So that goes over. I need to reverse the rotation as well, I guess. I wonder, do I need to reverse these two? 20, 0. No. I think I just need to revert. Let me think about this. I might just need to redo the spoon animation because it's going a completely different way now. Like I did the spoon animation with it going to the right, which obviously changes how the like momentum and stuff works. So I'm gonna have to redo that actually. Right, because the spoon is already on the right side. So this position, this actually needs to change. Oh, that's a little bit unfortunate. The rotation certainly needs to change. Okay, and then we flip. Yeah, okay, we're gonna have to, yeah, okay. This one, can I do negative 25 for this? Okay, and then we bring it this way now. Actually, that motion needs to continue on. It slams against the edge of the pot, and then it needs to rotate some more here. I mean, we can really crank that soldier boy. Boom. Yeah, okay, so we might need like a couple more keyframes there, but it goes to the left, pulls the spoon up. The spoon's momentum continues. It slams against the edge of the pot, rotates a little bit, and slams back, right? So we need to get that slam back part working. Okay. So a couple more keyframes in there ought to do it. Life is the ultimate decremental game because eventually time runs out. Well, that's true. Hello, Vinny. Welcome. Good to see you. Can you not just do a vertical flip on the whole animation player like a transform? I could do that. The problem is I like the orientation that it's in. I like that the spoon is on the right side, and also I designed the spoon to be like, I drew it to be like that, right? So flipping it might put it into like an uncanny valley where it doesn't look quite right because it was drawn for this orientation, right? If I do this, yeah, I don't know what it is about that, but it doesn't look quite right. I mean, it could just be that I'm used to the way it is, but Because I guess I did draw it with the light coming like straight ahead onto it, so I guess it doesn't really look that different flipping it, but I do like the spoon being on the right-hand side. Maybe that's just my right-hand bias talking, but that's okay. The animation is not too much trouble to fix. So we need like a, I don't know, do I do a keyframe in here? Honestly, maybe that's okay. I don't know if I need to do the slam on the backside because oh, maybe I do actually. Trying to think. I might need to add like another couple of frames here. Maybe I won't do an X motion here. I'm getting into the nitty-gritty details now. Okay, that's probably all right. Yeah, I think it looks fine. Okay, but that's a 1-second animation now. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see how it works. I think it's probably going to be okay. Oh, yeah. That works perfect. That works perfect. I like that. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me save that before... Oops, I didn't really mean to do all that. Let's do this. Artifact container layout, and then reverse pot animations. Okay. Hello, Artem. Welcome back. Good to see you. It is the highlights. New setting, dominant hand. Left-handed players will have the spoon on the left. Yeah. Notice you have 6 audio stream player nodes, 1 for each sound, and run a tool on a bunch of them. Why? This is my custom audio stream player, and each of these are different sound effects that trigger at different times as part of the animation sequence. This custom audio stream player, all this is this just a way of creating an audio stream randomizer for me. So it creates this audio stream randomizer, and then it sets the streams for me. So it does all that, and all it does is it exposes an array of audio stream. So I can just drag audio files onto this property, and then it configures this whole randomizer with those streams for me. Because this streams editor is like really freaking annoying. Because like you add a couple elements, and then after you get to like 5, it starts like having pages. And then so if you need to swap out all of the sounds, it becomes a huge pain in the rear. So all I did is I created a tool script that exposes a streams array, and anytime I set the array, it will update the audio stream randomizer streams for me. And then also when this enters the tree, it creates the audio stream randomizer for me with my preferred settings. So that's all it does. It configures it with the bus name that I want, which is sound effects by default, sets the volume dB to my default value, sets up the random pitch, random volume offset, playback mode, it sets to random. And then, yeah, that's about it. Your stream randomly popped up on my YouTube feed. Honestly, the game looks amazing. Would you consider releasing a beta version? I am doing playtesting. We just unfortunately closed a playtesting period, but there will be more playtests in the future, and also there will be a demo of the game eventually on the Steam page, which you can download whenever you want. So that's the plan, but we're in sort of like a spot in development where it's probably going to be a couple months at least before the next build of the game is playable, but yeah. Thank you, Bit Beginnings. I appreciate that. There should be a pinned link to the Steam page. Where is it? I don't worry about pinning things in the chat. It should be in the description. If it's not in the description, then I can fix that, but having a pinned comment in the chat is like one of those extra steps of the 50-step process that I need to do to run the stream that I'm just like, I don't really care that much, you know? I do the ad read for the game at the beginning. The link is also in the description below, and plus I've got those little banners that are popping up on the video. So I feel like that's probably good enough. That's probably good enough. You're welcome. Oh, you're thanking Artem. Well, you're welcome anyway. I have a lot of sounds in each of them. Yeah, the auto stream randomizer is really nice because, like, I mean, that's the best way to prevent your audio from becoming boring to listen to or monotonous. Is you randomize the pitch a little bit every time, randomize the volume a little bit every time, and then if you can get several variations of the same sound, that's also, like, those are the biggest 3 things you can do to prevent your audio from becoming, like, annoying. So you can see, like, I've got 10 different acid sounds, right? 5 different blacksmith sound, 6 different bottle sounds. I've got bullet impact metal light. I've got heavy and light. So I've got 8 heavy, 8 light sounds. So these go into the audio stream randomizer, and then it just plays a different variant of that sound each time, but it also randomizes the pitch a little bit every time. So you're getting something slightly different every time you hear the sound effect. So you can see I've got like a bunch of these kinds of things, right? Like 16 of these. Probably a little bit overkill to have this many, but I just figured why not bring them all over. So yeah. All right, reverse pot animations. Combat widget move. So I need to move the combat widget. That's going to be the next thing. Don't delay for tween animations. Yeah, I probably want to do that one too. Is there anything else that's like absolutely critical to address here? I need to test if the controller support still works too for this screen. Okay, so far so good. So I'm going to address this delay for tween animations. There's a particular way in which I'm doing the drawer sequencing, which I don't think is working that well because it is hitching a little bit. I don't know if you can tell when I do it, but basically what I do is I create individual tweens for each of the different drawers, essentially. But the way that I'm sequencing them is I'm adding a little bit of a delay on those every time. And I don't think that I want to do that. I think instead what I want to do is slightly vary the duration of each one based on whether it's going in or out. So the delay is intended to create like this accordion effect, right? Where you can very clearly see one drawer moving before the next drawer before the next drawer. So you can see that, you can kind of see that here, right? Like it's very quick, but you can tell that the inventory is coming in before the alchemy, before the board, right? So all of those things are kind of like a little bit offset. And the same is true for out. So the board starts first, then the alchemy drawer. Kind of gives it more of like I said, an accordion kind of effect. But I may just want to bake that in to I may just want to bake that in to the animations themselves. So yeah, we'll take a look at this. Hello, Florent. Welcome. Good to see you. From Mali. Very nice. Welcome, welcome. It's been a while since I last watched your stream. The game looks really good. Also, thank you for your online Godot course. That helped me a lot when I decided to make the switch. Yeah, you're welcome. You are welcome. Welcome back. New UI gets the same layout as your Godot editor settings. That's true. It's true. Hello, Rin. Welcome back. Good to see you. All right, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and when I come back, we will work on this animation stuff. And we're very close to having this little UX thing done, actually. I don't know, aside from what I've written down here, I don't think that there's anything else that needs to be done with it. So it's almost in a spot where we can call it finished. But yeah, anyway, I'll be right back in just 3 minutes and we'll continue on. All right, I'm back. Is the playtest still live? It is not, no. The playtest is not live. If you got access to the playtest while it was open, you can still play it from your Steam library, although access will be revoked probably within a week or so. But yeah, if you never joined the playtest, then no, you cannot play it currently. Hello, Tamiki. I hope I said your name correctly. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, let's see what we can do about these here tweens. So try open. So let me think about this. We want the inventory to be the quickest when we're opening. So try open inventory. This is 1/4 of a second. Try open alchemy. This is also 1/4 of a second. So what if we just bake the delay into there? Now the problem is, actually there isn't a situation. Yeah, so the problem here though is that we open the player board, we set this one to 0.25, what did I say, 0.25, 0.35. This one is already, so we'll just set this one to 0.5. The problem here is that if the alchemy is not being opened, then this board animation is going to take twice as long as the inventory animation. But there's not going to be anything in between, like the alchemy, you know what I mean? But we'll just try that for now, and we'll see how it works. What I really don't want to do is I don't want to start introducing conditionals here, where like I start passing in like, what should the time be here, right? This one should be 0.25. Like, I want to keep this very clean because this drawer stuff got out of hand once, and I had to rewrite the script, and now it's like nice. And I don't want to ruin it. So we're not going to do that. Try close player board. So this one actually, let me think about this. This one actually should be, yeah, I mean, this one can be relatively quick. Let's try 0.3 there. Okay. Try close alchemy. This one will be 0.4. Try close inventory will be 0.5. Okay, so now for all of these delays, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna get rid of this entirely. So get rid of this, get rid of that. Okay, and then the same one for the close. We get rid of the delay here, get rid of this delay. All right, let's see what happens. Time to reek in the playtest results. What? Tween await. Yeah, tween await is a new thing. That's pretty cool. You can now await signals inside of a tween, which, you know, is pretty cool. I like that. Okay, all right. So the core problem that I was trying to fix with all this, why is that so fast? That player board is so fast on the out there. The thing that I was trying to fix with all this is like, if I were to mash this with the previous delays, it would become really stuttery. It wouldn't be smooth because you would see these little like 1/10 of a second delays throughout the whole animation process. I think that looks pretty good though. The thing about these, oh, that one took forever though. Yeah, see, that's the problem. So you can see if the only thing that's open is the player board and the inventory board, this one just feels like it lazily just kind of like goes out. I wonder if I could just, let's see. This try close player, I think this player board just needs to be long no matter what. So that's going to be a little bit weird. So try close inventory. This is 0.5. I'm going to turn this down to 0.4. And then try close alchemy. .3. Let's see what that does. The weird thing about the so the player inventory and the alchemy are roughly the same size, but the board container that I'm animating is very wide. And so when I'm animating the ratio, it covers more ground in a shorter period of time compared to the other drawers. Now I could fix that by just defining like a number. I could define, yeah, just like define a number that it should slide out, and then I can very easily control the rate, but I'm not sure that that's necessary. Okay, so that looks good, and then this will go out. See, the thing is, I would like to emphasize the like accordion nature of it a little bit more. The other problem though is I can't make the animation too long because this is like, this needs to be responsive for the player, right? So this is at like the top end of what the length of the animations that I would consider. I think anything longer than this is just going to feel too sluggish to the player. I mean, this whole thing might even feel a little bit sluggish as well. Shoot, what am I going to do here? Let's just try speeding them up a little bit, I guess. So try open inventory. Do I dare knock this down to like 0.15? That's going to be very quick, but we'll try it. Okay, so we're doing try open alchemy next. This one will go down. I could change the easing potentially as well. Actually, let's keep the alchemy the way it was. And then try open player board. We're going to knock this one down to 0.4. Okay, so now try close player board. Let's keep this at 0.4. Let's see, try close alchemy. Okay, let's just see what that does. I really need to use more tweens in my games, yeah. Does a player board have a maximum size limit? It does not, no. Player board does not have a size limit. The size is limited just naturally by, you know, there's not enough grow board events on the map that are possible to get the board beyond a size of what can fit here. At least I don't think so. Okay, so we're getting that accordion a little bit more emphasized now. You can very clearly see that these are different drawers with different timings. Let's see what it looks like when the alchemy is not open. Okay, that looks good. All right, I think that's probably fine, actually. Yeah, I think those timings are all right. I do want to try to see if I can add some motion to this one in this case. Do I want to go that far? Because this just feels too stiff to me. Like I want this to be a little bit nicer, this particular case. Animation speed can be a game setting for the player to adjust. Maybe. Yeah, let me see if I can figure out what to do about this animation in here. But I think the timings are working correctly. So let's just do adjust drawer animation timings. Hello, Gregory. I'm having performance issues on my game when I set stretch to canvas items. When I set it to viewport, it works well. How do you manage that in your game? I mean, you shouldn't really have that much of a problem unless there's something wrong. Are you using a shader? Any kind of shader that is potentially very expensive? Like I can set, like my game's performance is fine if I set the display mode. Where the heck is that? Right here. To canvas items. I mean, I guess what is the performance difference that you're seeing? All of my shaders get broken though because my shaders are assuming a certain pixel size. Like the outline shader is broken. I do want to support high res mode though. If you want high res mode, that will be an option for you. You see that like the rotations and stuff are like much smoother, which makes sense, right? Oh, that's kind of a problem. Well, maybe not. It's probably all right. Oh, can I not open the settings menu anymore? Oh, okay. I gotta fix that. So like, look at all the characters animated without the without the pixelation. Looks kind of weird, but I may offer this as an option. I do have to go and adjust all the shaders though. How I would do that, I don't know. I did it for Gunforge. Gunforge has like a high res mode as well, but all the shaders that were expecting a certain pixel size were adjusted to, you know, fix that. Anyway. But I don't have any performance issues with that, no. No performance issues with that. Good morning, Ninja Link. Always good to see you. Welcome back. Would it be good maybe if the combat board overshot its movement slightly as it's flying out? Yeah, we could try something like that. It's a 2D game with 128 by 128 sprites. MacBook Air, 2K screen, GPU is not that powerful. Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like, I mean, it could just be a Godot rendering quirk with Mac. Like, you never know with Godot. You could try using a compatibility renderer or the forward plus renderer, like if you haven't tried switching the renderer, see if that makes a difference. But yeah, unless you've got like a shader that's doing an obscene number of like calculations per pixel, that shouldn't really cause any performance issues. Especially for a 2D game with sprites that small. I mean, I guess it depends, like do you have 100,000 sprites in the scene? I don't know. Do you need to test an ultrawide? I do not, because the ratio is locked at 16:9. The ratio is locked at 16:9. What I may do is Yeah, I don't know if this game is just going to work on irregular screen sizes. I just don't know if that's going to be the case. I mean, if you want to use an ultra wide and I put the inventory all the way over here, and then like your combat board is like, you know, way out there. That is a problem for future Firebelly. Like if I want to add ultra wide support later, that is a problem that I'm just gonna have to deal with at that point in time. So sorry in advance, future me, but past you is making the decision now to screw you over. Play it on Steam Deck. Yeah, I think this is the kind of game where like I'm imagining a lot of people are probably going to be just like playing on laptops and Steam Deck and like 1080p monitors, you know. I don't think it's the kind of game where a whole lot of people are going to be playing on ultra wide. I mean, not a whole lot of people play or have ultra wide monitors to begin with. What am I doing? Oh, right, we're going to do this special animation. Okay, so the condition is that I'm opening the alchemy while the board is open. Trying to think of how I want to do this. I'm going to create a new method down here. Private tween create alchemy open player board tween. Something like that. Tween.tween control offset transform of player board spacer. We're going to do vector2.left times 64 maybe. We're going to do this over a period of 0.2 seconds, and then we're going to do back to vector2.0 over 0.2 seconds. The problem here I'm trying to think if there's a situation where this could be Actually, you know what I'll do? We'll just let that tween run to completion, I guess. I was thinking there could be a situation where this tween gets interrupted before it's finished, and now the player board spacer gets stuck with an offset that it shouldn't have. But if I just let the tween finish... maybe that's okay? So I go in here, open this up. Oh, well, it did play it. I need to have some kind of easing here. And then this one will do in. The nice thing about the control offset stuff in Godot 4.7 is that the ratio and the position offset are independent from each other. So you can add a ratio plus an offset if you wanted to, which is super nice. I was worried that those were going to be locked together, but they're not. What in the heck? It's almost there. I would say it's almost there. This needs to go over maybe just a little bit more. The other way to do this would be to somehow use lerping for it. So have like a lerp target and just have the board lerp there. Kind of hard to coordinate this stuff with tweens specifically, but we can make it work. Why is that so... maybe I'll just use an easier... instead of cubic, we'll do sine. See if that makes a difference. I mean, it will make a difference, but... the problem I have with sine is usually it doesn't feel too different than linear. Honestly, maybe this should be like 0.15, and this should be 0.4. May have to come up with a different approach for this, specifically. Let me try something else here. This may not end up working. I essentially want this to counteract the alchemy spacer. I might have to just explicitly bake that in. Let me see. So in order to bake that in, what I'd have to do is... So we've got the alchemy spacer here. This is 132. So this is 132. And essentially what we'd want to do is basically offset the player board spacer by that 132 amount over the exact same amount of time that it takes for the alchemy board to come in. So that's 0.35 with an ease of out. So let's just try... Let's try that. So this is 0.35 with an ease of out and a type of cubic, I believe. So I don't know if that's actually going to work, but what that should do, in theory at least, is that should keep the board essentially locked in the position that it's in. But I don't necessarily want that either. Yeah, see how that keeps the board locked in that position? But I don't want it to be locked in the position necessarily. I want it to feel a little bit bouncy, right? But that does counteract the slide of the alchemy spacer. So essentially, as the alchemy spacer comes in, we're just setting the offset of the player board to the opposite of however far it's coming in. So it looks locked in place for a while, and then it slides back to where it needs to be. But that's not exactly what I want. I almost do need like a lerp of some kind. Do I want to go that deep? Do I want to go that deep? Could I divide this by 2 and do half of this? Probably not, right? Did I do that right? Whatever. We'll just do 1.75. I think that's right. I don't think that's going to work. Oh, it kind of works. That kind of works. We change this to out. Quad. How would it look like the offset was to the right instead? I don't think that would look good. But maybe I can try that. Maybe it could work with a new await tweener. Well, there's no signals here. Like, there's no signals involved in any of this. This is just pure animation. Oh, that looks good, actually. I don't think that's bad at all, actually. Look at that. So now we got to handle the case where it's going out. That feels very natural now, though. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Now, if I do this over and over again, we kind of have a problem. Honestly, it probably would be better to do some kind of lerp here. How would I do a lerp, though? That's the thing. It looks good in this situation. It does not look good if I do this. I mean, that's not really something I have to super worry about, but it does look a little bit weird. Like, I don't know if the offsets, like, I don't even know how I would do a lerp. Oops, did I just mess something up? No. I don't even know how I would do a lerp. Actually, I wonder if I can fix this with just... var left target is equal to vector2.left times alchemy spacer dot size dot x divided by 2. Alchemy spacer. No, I don't need to do that. Do I need to do that? Vector2 dot right times alchemy spacer dot size dot x times alchemy spacer dot offset transform ratio dot x. Is that right? So what I'm saying is move to the right by half of the alchemy spacer dot size multiplied by the transform ratio. Oh, no, that's not going to work. Well, let's make this more explicit. This left mathf.apps. Is that right? So what I'm essentially saying is if the ratio is fully -1, then this becomes essentially this number here. But if we're already halfway through the ratio, then we're taking half of that size. I don't know, maybe that will work. Maybe that will work. So what I should see if I did it right is that there's basically no change in the case that the alchemy drawer is not open. Right. But if I mash the keyboard, oh, that did work. Okay. So you can see that if I'm opening and closing really quick now, because it's changing its left target position based on the current like open ratio of the drawer, if I interrupt it mid thing, it's not gonna like jitter all over the place. Okay, all right. So that seems good. We just have to handle the case of the opposite direction now. Create alchemy open, alchemy close, player board tween. And we're gonna want to share, we're gonna want to create a reference so we can kill the old tween if it exists. But we're basically gonna copy and paste this. We're gonna rename this to right target. This will be vector2.right times alchemy spacer.size.x divided by 2 times 1 minus the current ratio. Okay. If alchemy tween is not equal to null and board tween equals null, then we do alchemy close, player board tween. Okay. Oh. It's not even close to correct, but I think that's because the curves are different and the duration is different as well. 0.25. Oh, I have a little delay in here too. Oh, son of a gun. Uh-oh. I did not notice that. Oops. Let's just add that back into the animation time. I wonder why that was there. Does that completely change the feel of everything? Was that just for the close? It was just for the close. Maybe that tween was actually good. That tween interval. Man. Oh, I didn't change this. Oh, yes, I did. I don't know, that interval does make quite a difference in the feel of the animation, actually. Okay, so this will become 0.125, but we're also going to do the matching tween interval here. Okay, so try close alchemy. What are those? It's in and cubic. So this needs to be in and cubic. Does this one also need to be in? We'll just keep it the way it is. All right, let's see. All right. It's not even close to correct. That's not even close to correct. Why is that not working? So the alchemy transform position ratio is going to go to -1, but it starts at 0. So that means that my right target is going to be half of the spacer size. What happens if I just do a very... Let's just do a very basic match real quick. I just want to see, is my reasoning actually correct here? Man, this would have been easier probably just with like a lerp target or something. Okay, so that's correct. See how it's staying in place until it goes away fully? So that animation is actually working. Why doesn't this work then? 1F minus alchemy spacer offset transform position ratio X. That should be 0, so this will evaluate to 1, which means we're doing half of the size, or half of the duration. Between interval, this is in cubic. 0.25. 0.125 is half of that. We're dividing by half the size. I wonder if the math just doesn't work in this case. Unless I'm doing something obviously wrong. What happens if I change this to out instead of in? Fun with animations. Why does that... Honestly, maybe I should just keep this at 0.25. I have no idea. I don't know why. I don't know why that's not working. It worked in the first case, it doesn't work in the second case. We'll get it eventually. The only annoying thing about tweens is that since they're defining code, you have to edit the code and then run the game to see how it looks. Okay, I think that looks better. If I mash the key, it doesn't do anything. I don't know, why did I have to match? Why not? Why doesn't that work? Ugh, animations. So that keeps it perfectly locked in place over the duration of the animation. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it so that it does half. So it stays locked in place for half of the animation and then goes in. But I can't get that part to work. I wonder, I don't know if the math works the way that I think it works. I don't know if it's as simple as just like taking half or whatever. Yeah, because that flies way out there. What in the heck? Why did it work here? .35 out in cubic to 0. This one, left target, alchemy spacer, offset position ratio dot x, alchemy spacer dot size dot x. We go to left target. So this one, I wonder if this tween interval is maybe playing a role. What happens if I do 0.1? No, that's not going to make that much of a difference, I don't think. So here's another thing that I can do instead. Since this is not looking that great, what I can do instead is I can do... Let's get rid of this tween interval. What I'm going to do instead is we're just going to do a tween method. Do I have like a tween... player board spacer dot offset transform position is equal to new vector 2 alchemy spacer dot size dot x times 1f. Oh wait, did I just figure it out? I think this is actually wrong. This 1 minus. I think the 1 minus is wrong. Is that right? Hold on a second. If the ratio is 0, we're going to say the right target is... Oh, yeah, this is the part that's wrong. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, this is wrong. Is it wrong? No, it's not wrong. Okay, well, I'm just going to proceed with what I was doing here. So offset transform position is equal to new vector 2 alchemy spacer.size.x times 1 minus mathf.apps. Yes, that should be correct, I think. I have been known to be wrong, but that's okay. So we're just going to animate the offset transform position. We don't care what the variant is, so just 0 to 1. The duration, we want to hold it in place for 0.125. Why is this? Oh, this needs to be float. Okay. So essentially what I'm doing instead is I'm essentially just, every time this tween runs, we're calculating what the offset should be, and we're just going to hold it in place for that long, and then we can ease to 0 after that. So let's see what happens. Late to the party, hello. Hello, Ashwin. Welcome back. Good to see you. Getting stumped by animations. Now, what in the heck? I think it is my calculation here. Is this just wrong? Is this 1F minus? I suppose that is wrong, which implies that maybe this would have been... I mean, it's two different things, actually. Because one is grabbing a snapshot of what the target should be before the animation runs, and the other one is saying, what should my target be this frame? So that's a little bit of a difference there. And there's a little bit of snapping going on here, but what we can do... Is there a simpler way to do this? So this is not going to work because since this is overriding, it's creating snapping when the drawers are opened very quickly. So that's not going to work. I really don't know what's going on here. Oh, you know what? It may not be that this code is even wrong at all. I think it may just be because these tweens are fighting each other. So yeah, that might actually be it. I need to extract this out into a shared tween. Alchemy. Let's call it private tween alchemy open close player board tween. Okay, this becomes alchemy open close player board tween. I'm gonna be so mad if that was actually the thing, because the problem is if I open and close really quickly, I'm going to have multiple versions of these tweens all fighting over the same properties. So I wonder if that was the entire reason why I was not seeing the behavior that I was expecting. So what we'll do instead is we'll create a single reference, and then we'll make sure to kill any existing tween before we start the next one. I don't think that's going to be the entire story, though, because I don't think it was working even when the tweens were finished. Yeah, see, it's still snapping out. Do I need to put that tween interval back in? I am actually quite baffled. Ultimately, it's a lot of work for such a small thing, but I'm just very confused. Okay, let's put a breakpoint here. I'm just going to see what that is actually returning. Okay, 66, that seems correct. Can I do... So it's at 0, 0 transform position. Yeah, all these numbers are correct, so it must just be not working the way that I expect it to. Wow. I don't know what I'm going to do about this. If I remove this here, my understanding is that it works, basically. But I don't want it to be paused for that long. Oh no, it does not work. Oops, wrong button. Well, I guess I don't need to get stuck on this right now. I can always figure this out later. Now, wait a minute. This drawer will move to the left. That will bring this with it over that same amount of time. So I need to apply an offset to this that also pushes it over to the right over that same amount of time, and then brings it back to 0. That's what I'm trying to do. What am I doing wrong here? Tween control offset transform. Is this tween interval doing anything? Yeah, I'm kind of lost. I'm kind of baffled. What is different about this animation compared to the other one? The open animation works fine. It pushes it out very nicely. This one is just wild. I don't know. I really don't know. The only difference is that has an in. So maybe... Let's try this. I'm just trying to figure out what the heck is going on. I may have to come up with a different approach for this. I don't know if this is going to be reliable. Oh, there we go. So I had the wrong easing. So that's one thing. So that's the wrong... Okay, so that's good. But as soon as I do divided by 2 here and divided by 2 here, does it just break all of a sudden? I wonder if the easings just, like, don't work that way. I guess they don't, right? I guess they don't really work that way. What happens if I just don't divide by 2 here? Well, that seems to be working pretty decently, I guess. Interesting. Well, we will just We will just take the victory, I suppose, and call that good. Well, I mean, yeah. That seems to be fine. Now I'm curious why this one doesn't work that way, though. Because I'm doing half of the time here. What happens if I were to make this equal to the alchemy open time? What does that do? Change that to cubic. Change this to in. Part of me wonders if I should even be using a transition to begin with. Still experimenting. We'll be done with this in a second. We will be done with this in a second. I just want to try to wrap my head around this if I can. I don't want to go too deep on this because that might really mess things up, but the alchemy pod is on the left, so you're following your Godot workspace setup as your design choice. Yeah. Yep. You're not the only one to have said that. Okay. I don't even know. I have no idea why this animation works. I will change this one to cubic, though. I have no idea why that one works this way and this one works that way. I just don't know. It must be a quirk of how the different easings are working compared to in and out. I think I just kind of like stumbled my way into like some correct math. I don't think any of my reasoning is applicable, but you know what they say? A blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. And then the big thing that I was trying to fix is like if I open this in quick succession, I just don't want that player board to snap around. So it's kind of like halty and whatnot. So this is the kind of thing where actually using a lerp would be better. So I may still do that. We basically just have like a lerp point. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that. But I think this works for now. Like I don't need to worry about this anymore. I think that just looks much nicer now. It looks more organic that slides out a little bit nicer. Yeah, I think that's fine. Well, we'll just call that good. Okay, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and when I come back, we'll just keep doing some of this stuff. And, you know, I just got a bunch of miscellaneous things that I want to do to get this wrapped up. So we're going to see how much of that we can do. We're going to see how much of that we can do. Anyway, I'll be right back in just 3 minutes and we'll continue on. Okay, I am back. Escape button no longer opens settings. I wonder why that broke. Do I want to fix that now? I don't really want to fix that now. Let's put the mushroom in. I want to see what the mushroom looks like. Yeah, so I guess I'll just export that. Probably gonna do more stuff as well. I just want to see what that looks like in game. Alrighty, so let's go to the alchemy drawer. Alchemy container. Oh, I was like, where in the world is my floor? Here it is. I really don't like this new drag and drop. I can't get used to it. Let's see, what does that look like? Very cool, very cool. I'm gonna move this around a little bit while the game is running so I can see what it looks like in different orientations or different positions. Okay. So the question here is, what does this actually look like when it's in the drawer? Oh, it looks like that. That's a little bit unexpected. So one easy fix for this would be to there's a lot of things that needs to happen here actually. So I need to separate out this texture. I need the background color for this texture to be filled, to be in the background rather. And then I need to pull the vines into the foreground so those can go on top of the mushroom. And then I need to set up clipping so that, you know, you roughly trace a line through here. So basically where this margin line is, I need to set that to clip. Now what I could do is I could take this alchemy drawer here. No, I can't do that. I don't think I can just set the margin right to 8 here. No. Okay. I could just set this to a custom maximum size, I suppose. Or a custom minimum size. Let's see. That's 130. So if I set this custom minimum size to 130, I get rid of this margin right. And then I tell this to shrink begin. That essentially puts it in the same spot. And then I can do clip contents. Okay, so that clips the mushroom. That does not fundamentally solve the problem of the vines not being on top of the mushroom, though. So how am I going to do that? I guess I just need to go into the drawer and split those out. The kind of annoying part is that this is not a straight line on the right side. So I actually probably need a separate texture for just the background. So I'll take the vines off, make them their own sprite, and layer that on top of a background, which will also be its own sprite. Yeah. Is the mushroom an indicator for a cauldron passive or something? It's not. No, it's just decoration. Welcome, One Up Advanced, by the way. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. No, the mushroom is just decoration. So it's not really that important. Do I already have these split out? Oh, look at that. So I think I will just... I want to use the same dimensions, though, when I'm exporting these things. I'm off by 1 pixel. Actually, this is easier if I just do it this way, right? No, that's not necessarily easier. All right. This is going to be decorations. We're going to export only the selected layer selection. Export that. And then the panel, same deal. All right, so now I got to do 2 separate things here. This texture rect just becomes a panel now. Like that. Okay, and then I need another texture rect. So let's do panel rect. We're going to duplicate this. No, I didn't want to do that. Okay. This panel now becomes decorations. Is that all correct? Okay, so now I've got this margin container which will clip so that anything that leaves this boundary will just be clipped automatically, so I can have stuff going out here, that's fine. And then yeah, and then the vines are in the foreground, so anything that's in here will have the vines rendered on top of it. Okay, is that gonna work? I mean, it obviously does work, I can see it right there, but let's just see. Oh, look at that. Everything here. Oh, no. Did I forget to set these as mouse ignore? Yes. We do not want the mouse to be over the texture recs. Thank you very much. Okay. How do we feel about the mushroom? Is it good? No good? I mean, it's not done. My plan is to add like a bunch of decorations around the alchemy pot just to make it a little bit more interesting. But the mushroom is just kind of like a test for that, you know. I mean, I'm probably going to keep it, But what I'm saying is I'm going to do more decorations in this style for this alchemy to kind of fill out this empty space a little bit and make it look more thematic, I suppose. But how do we feel about that, generally speaking? Looks good to me. A little more decoration always helps. Okay, glad you like it. I have to say, I am pretty proud of that mushroom. I think that mushroom looks great. I've been trying to, so like obviously since it's a background element, it needs to be darker. So I've been trying to use more like negative space, or like not negative space, using more like dark shadow areas on the background art. And I like how it turned out here. There's like shadows here. There's basically nothing here, but you know that that shape is supposed to exist there. Yeah, I like how it turned out. I was working on that at 2 a.m. last night. And I was like, okay, I probably should go to bed. And I did. Hello, Mel's, welcome. Good to see you. Tan Talking, welcome back. Good to see you as well. Okay, so yeah, I'll do more decorations for that as well. Yeah, I think that'll work. I want to see what happens with the animation though. Oh, it doesn't move and it doesn't darken. Oh, okay. Am I really only animating the... Okay, let's just make this a child of the floor, and I'm also going to cheat a little bit. We're going to say use parent material. Where is that? Material, use parent material. So the same color palette, yes, looks nice. More objects, decorations to be conclusive. Yeah, it's the same palette. It will always be the same palette. All of my games from here on out, all my future games will use this palette. That's not darkening either. Why is that not darkening? I may have to animate the mushroom itself as well. Should I do an Easter egg where you can click the mushroom and it jiggles a little bit? That would be really fun, actually. I might do that. I might do that. It's completely unnecessary, but I might do it. Thank you, Tan Talking. Appreciate it. How is the floor being faded out? Visual utilities out, fade out floor. I set the mushroom as a child of the floor. And then I also set it to use parent material. So why isn't it fading out with it? Did we lose connection again? Maybe spores come out as well. Am I back? I think there was a little hiccup. Yeah, spores. Yeah, we could do something like that. Might as well. I just need to figure out why is this not fading out? Oh, because it's using instant shader parameters. Son of a biscuit. There's always something to do. All right. I'm just gonna... This is gonna be nuts. We are going to remove instance shader parameters. Parameters from visual utilities fade methods. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but Because, like, if I wanted to fade a whole group of things together, what I could do is what I'm trying to do here, which is use parent material and then just apply the fade to the parent, and then everything would fade out in succession because they all share a reference of the material. The problem, though, is that I'm using an instance shader parameter, which is not shared. It's a shader uniform that's unique to the node that the shader is on. And so they do end up sharing a material under the hood, but they have separate progress values. So I would need to animate the mushroom separately anyway. So what I'll do instead is I'll just do this. I'll just do mushroom, and see, now I have to do all this stuff. I have to grab a reference to the mushroom, which I don't want to have to do because it clutters my script. And then I have to go down where the floor is faded out, and I have to basically duplicate this and do the mushroom here. You know, I could throw these things in a canvas group, but I'm trying not to use too many canvas groups when I can help it. But anyway, I'll have to address that. I will have to address that, but let's see if this works. I may have to animate the mushroom anyway when the floor goes out. Okay, that looks fine. And it's not fading back in. Oops. Gosh, this is annoying. The other problem with instance shader parameters is that in compatibility mode, you can't have that many of them. So it's almost always safer just duplicate your shader material so that you get a unique reference, and then just, as far as I can tell, duplicating shader materials is not that it's not that heavy of an operation, because it's the shader that is attached to the shader material is already compiled and shared between it, or it's already attached to, like, that same compiled shader is already attached to all the unique shader materials, right? So the shader material is essentially just like a way of saying what uniform should be passed in when we apply this shader code. So duplicating shader materials is actually not that big of an issue. I just figured it was more elegant to do instance shader parameters, which I still think that, but again, the problem is in compatibility mode, you can't have many of them at all. So if I do a lot of fades at once, it will just break. It will say, hey, you exceeded the number of instance shader uniforms you can have. And I want the game to be fully supported in compatibility mode so that people with old hardware can still play it. So yeah. Anyway, rant over, I suppose. I think there's a problem here, though. I need to fill this out. So I'm gonna rename this mushroom. Yeah, I need to fill like this whole spot in. I should probably round this part out as well, just in case anything happens to render there, and then we'll also just fill this one as well. Okay. How are we feeling about the new alchemy pot position, though? Everyone like it? I personally think it already feels much better. I don't know I don't know why this word is coming to mind, but cozy comes to mind. Like, it feels like so nice. Like, you've got everything here. The gang's all together. You got this nice warm pot right there. Just, even when you're not doing anything with it, it's just kind of like a nice set piece, you know? Yeah, I'm very happy. I'm very happy with the alchemy drawer changes here. I think it's great. Touching the mushroom could also be a prank, like temporary poison effect on the player's health. I don't know if I would go that far, but yeah. Maybe if you click it enough, it like dies, or the cap pops off or something, and then it just stays that way for the rest of the game. All right, let's do the mushroom jiggle. This is like not really something that is important to do at all. And when I say not really, I mean not at all. But like I said, I want to try to start adding just a lot of like really, I don't know what the word is I want to say, like interactive elements, little touches, little Easter eggs, little surprising visual details. Like, I just want to get the game from where it is now to something that like looks really rich and complete. And so, like, I think these little things like this, even though they're not super important, especially compared to what I have to do, I do think that this is going to add a lot to the game. So, yeah, I'm going to do it. Now, the question is, how do I actually do this? How do I detect a mushroom click? The other thing is, too, so if I use... First of all, let me do this. Add mushroom. Alchemy drawer. So the other thing that if I use a clickable control for this, I want to not have the controller able to click it. Like, this will be a mouse and keyboard only thing. So let me think. So if I do clickable control here, mushroom clickable control. Okay, so then actually, let's do this. Let's keep disconnecting. Does my stream keep dropping? I don't know why that's happening. In YouTube, yes, but back now, second time. Yeah, I don't know why that keeps happening. Let me check on it real quick. It says I have no dropped frames. I don't know. Can I see if I disconnected? My CPU usage is way low. My internet bandwidth is not even close to being used. I don't know. Maybe it's just a YouTube issue. Maybe it's just a YouTube issue. Anyway. Transform. Let's change the position. Okay. We're going to turn this offset centered off. Actually, do I want to do that? Probably not. I actually want a different offset. If I'm going to make it wiggle, I probably want it to wiggle like this. Okay. I hope this doesn't interfere with anything else in the scene. And we also want to disable... We disable outline margins, disable outline animation. Except on invalid click, that's fine. Controller focus. Do we want to... clickable control... Do we want to add a force disable focus? Private bool force disable focus. Something like that. Input. Where's focus mode? Update focus listener. Not is input disabled. And not force disable focus. Okay, so this essentially will just say, this clickable control can never receive focus from the controller. And then I will build and I will set that up. So now I can go to here, controller focus, force disable focus. And now, if you're on controller, I'm sorry, you won't be able to use the Easter egg, but I think it's going to be really annoying if you're like trying to move the cursor around and it keeps snapping to the mushroom. Like that would just not be fun. So these are going to be mouse and keyboard only, little Easter eggs, at least this kind of thing. But I think that's reasonable. I think that's reasonable. I'm not going to go through a bunch of effort to make the controller able to engage with those Easter eggs. I think that's just a little bit too much. Haven't seen any disconnect issues on the Twitch side. Okay, it must be YouTube then. This is a game dev side quest, yeah. That's a game dev side quest for sure. I'm almost wondering if I should make this its own little scene so I don't clutter this up. I may actually do that. Yeah. That makes more sense to me. So I'll get rid of what I just did here. We'll just let the mushroom handle its own little Easter egg. I don't think I want to clutter this script up with unrelated stuff. Okay. Open up the scene. Mushroom decoration. We want to extend this scene. Scripts, or extend the script rather. Game.ui.alchemy using gameui.util. Node private sprite 2D mushroom. Public override void ready. Mushroom dot, or let's do clicked plus equals on clicked. string sprite 2D property name dot rotation degrees, variant final value. Let's do 30. 0.2 set ease type dot out, set transition tween dot ease type dot transition type rather dot back, and then we'll do this one. This will be -30. I'm just going to do this a bunch of times. 10. And then 0. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll do var mod is equal to mathutil.rng.rand sign. And we'll multiply all these out by mod. So the direction of the animation will change randomly. Okay, let's see what happens. Will a single scene for all that stuff behind the pot help, or separate scenes is easier? So the tricky part is, like, I may need to animate those individual elements. So like grouping multiple elements up into a single scene would make coordinating animations here really hard. So for other decorations that maybe aren't clickable, I probably would just put them in this scene directly, because then I can animate them with these animation players if I need to. But if I put everything in its own scene, then it could become really hard to coordinate those animations, right? So it's trade-offs, you know. It's trade-offs. Let's see what happens. Oops. Object reference not set to an instance of object. Are you serious? Oh, I forgot to create the tween. My bad. That is like the third time that this has happened. On Godot 4.7, sometimes it like the game just crashes on startup. I don't know what's going on there, but that's probably a little bit too much rotation, but hey, it works. And clicking inside of here doesn't allow me to click it. Oh, that's fun. I think it's rotating a little bit too much though, so we'll knock this down, we'll knock that down, we'll knock this down. I probably want to make the animation faster generally as well. Let's just cut a couple of frames out of each of those. Honestly, I could probably cut it down even more. That looks maybe a little bit too fast. What I could do is I could do 0.2 here, 0.15 there. So it like accelerates over time maybe. Or maybe I do the reverse, 0.1. Probably will reduce the Yeah, and then we can do, let's do this. Let's also reduce this to 15. This can become -7. This can become 3. And then what we can do is we can also do var multiplier, matthew_rng.rand_f_range. Let's just do like, I don't know, maybe like 0.8 to 1.2. So we make it have a little bit of a different magnitude every time you click it as well. That's pretty cool. I like that. I can probably still click it when it's in the background too. That's kind of fun. Oh, it's not fading out anymore. Yep. That is the problem. So now the mushroom doesn't fade out. Oh, and it's blocking this. Why is it blocking the board? Unfortunately, I have to figure out what to do to make that fade again. But let's figure out, why is it blocking the board? Honestly, this should probably be up here. Yeah. That's because it was just lower on the scene tree compared to the board. So that should fix that. I don't think that will make any substantial difference in the rendering order, but it should make a difference in terms of the click order. And also, this just makes more sense. Like the board, yeah, the board will now render on top of the mushroom. Which, yeah, so it's like the pot is in the foreground, the board is in the middle, and then this is in the background. So that makes sense anyway. And now, yeah. Oh, but I can still click through. What in the heck? Why am I allowed to click things through the boards? Oh, that's not good. I should probably make... Should I just make the boards stop? Anyway, so there's a lot of things to do, but I guess I'll just make a note. Let's see. Clickable mushroom is not fading out. Clickable mushroom is clickable through board. Hello, Ted. Welcome. It's like, leave me alone. Yeah. All right. I think I have some work to do on that still, but I think that was well worth the time. Okay. That's going to be it for the stream for today, though. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. It's always appreciated. You can wishlist Alchemortis on Steam. That's the best way to support my work if you choose to do so. I'd appreciate that. And yeah, everything's going well. We're gonna get the game in good shape before the next playtest. Address all the issues and whatnot. But yeah. All right, thank you all for watching. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Have a good weekend. I'll be back at it tomorrow at 10 a.m. So if you want to join me on Saturday morning. Otherwise, yeah, that's it. All right, take care, everyone, and bye-bye for now.